Rev up your engines!
Well, here's some transportation information that might shock you. Cargo thieves are now attacking the U.S. supply chain at a higher and higher rate. Ship containers, they're robbing warehouses, they're robbing trucks. Organized criminal gangs are hitting trucks on the road, breaking into warehouses, and taking expensive items even from trains. Gee, I thought train robbery was something from the 1800s, but I guess people are still robbing trains. Hey, if they think there's going to be automatic driving trucks, everything right there. They don't need people to drive them and stuff. You need people to keep people from stealing things. Because I had an argument with these guys in Seattle, and they said, oh, Scotty, everything's going to be automated. We're not going to drive around cars. The trucks will drive themselves. And I said, you don't even understand people. If you think they can have self-driving trucks driving all over the place, as soon as they start doing that, the nerd criminals are going to figure out how they can hijack these self-driving trucks and either drive them off cliffs because there's no people in them, nobody will be hurt, or stealing them, driving them into some secret place and stealing everything out of the trucks, right? That's what people do if there's no one there guarding them. Look at the problems they're already having with electric vehicle charging stations. They're not like gas stations. They're generally not sitting there with somebody watching it at a gas station. It would be an electric gas station, right? They're in the middle of nowhere, back of a parking lot, whatever, all by themselves. People are stealing the copper, damaging, defacing them because there's no one guarding them. You have to have people guarding things. And the problem today is all these companies are getting cheaper and cheaper. How can a warehouse be robbed if there's guards there? Well, obviously, there are no guards. I remember when I was in Houston, a big car dealership had a whole bunch of their cars stolen. And I'm like, how did they get their cars stolen? Well, it turns out they had another lot out in the middle of nowhere where they stored a bunch of cars. And all they had was a fence around it. Barbed wire fence, right? Thieves saw, hey, there's no guards here, and they came and they stole a bunch of cars. You gotta have people guarding the stuff. And if you don't, this is what's going to happen. And of course, organized criminal gangs, they're going to know right off, hey, this guy doesn't have guards. These guys don't have guards. Okay, let's rob their stuff there. You can't have all this stuff automated with no humans involved because the humans that maybe the ones that lost their jobs because they didn't want to hire people anymore, maybe they'll end up stealing the stuff back. I mean, that'd be what's happening now. Who knows? But it's up. It's really up. For example, one company, Veris Cargo Net, had 3,798 incidents of cargo theft, which was a 26% increase year over year. And they said they lost $455 million. This is one company, people. So we're talking about billions of dollars, maybe even trillions of cargo theft. Well, here we go with more dire electric vehicle news. Nissan just pulled the plug on their $1 billion plus EV battery plant. All right, they're going to make it. Now they're not. Now, it's in Japan. It's a Japanese company, and it's a Japanese factory they're going to build these EVs. And these are the new LFP batteries, right? The ones that are supposedly more efficient. No one knows which battery is going to make it. Maybe you've got a $1 billion factory that builds the wrong battery. Oops, there's $1 billion down the toilet, right? So Nissan's like, we're not going to build that. They're waiting too. Hey, if these large car companies are waiting to see what batteries are going to be made, you know what I'm telling you? Wait to buy a battery electric car. Wait many years until they perfect it, if they ever do. Maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe you're watching this video and it's 2035, 10 years from now, but it'll be the present then, right? You might say, oh, look, they've got really good battery electric cars and we're driving around, humming along. Great, right? But that would be then, not now. Now, even the big companies are like rats jumping off the sinking ship. Nah, we're not going to build that $1 billion EV battery plant. Nah. Forget that. Forget all the promises we gave you. We're not going to build it. Well, if you think Tesla's really in trouble because they're not selling their cars, everybody doesn't like Elon now, guess what? Even their insurance arm of Tesla, they sell insurance for their own drivers, right, is getting wrecked itself because they are taking a bath. They are putting out much more money fixing the insurance jobs of their own Tesla cars that they're insuring than they're taking in premiums because, hey, as anybody with half an ounce of brains in their head is going to realize, Guess what? They cost a fortune to fix when they get in a wreck. Neighbor's friend here had one, got in a fender bender, hit a curb, totaled the car because it wrecked the battery. There was $15,000. With the other damage, they totaled the car, even though it had 30,000 miles on it. Well, who pays for that? The insurer. And since Tesla insures a bunch of their own cars, now they're even losing money on that. It's hilarious, right? Talk about be careful what you ask for. We sold all our clientele insurance to buy our cars. Great. Well, now they're losing money on it. If anybody should know about it, it should be the company that makes them, right? Man, these things are really expensive to repair. Let's not insure them. That would be a stupid thing, right? It was just like when Obama healthcare came out and they said, okay, all these new insurance companies are out there. They'll all do insurance, right? So what happens? All the people that had really bad health problems that the other companies in the past wouldn't sign up, they all signed up. And guess what? Almost every single one of those companies, those healthcare companies that started then, went bankrupt because they were insuring a lot of the really sick people, putting a whole bunch of money out. Well, in this case, Tesla is insuring Tesla drivers. And they cost so much money to fix when they break, they're actually losing money on a deal. Imagine that, an insurance company that's losing money. But, of course, it's because it's slanted to they're insuring Teslas, right? A regular insurance company insures all kinds of cars, right? And what they do is you have different rates for different cars. So if you have, say, State Farm or something and you want to insure a Tesla, guess what? They're going to charge you a lot higher premiums. Well, if the only thing you insure are Teslas and they can't make the rates too high because it's their own company, they would chase their own customers away, right? Now they're even losing money on selling insurance. Now, what? This has got to be the only insurance company in the world that's losing money. Well, somebody asked me the other day, what's the point of mid-range gasoline, right? Why is there this mid-grade? There's regular, and then there's the middle one, and then there's the premium, right? Well, you'd think, what's the point of it? Actually, there isn't much of a point. And the last research that I did said that less than 7% of the gasoline sales in the United States is the mid-grade. But here's the hilarious thing. You think, okay, why do the gas companies make a mid-grade if they only sell 7%? Well, here's the answer. They don't make a mid-grade. My old man ran a gas station, and here's how it works. You got a regular tank at the gas station. You have a premium tank at the gas station. The pumps mix it for the mid-grade. So they don't even have to create a tanker and bring the mid-grade. It doesn't exist until it's mixed. So they will mix like 1/3 premium, 2/3 regular, and call it mid-grade. Now, it really doesn't have much use today. If you do have a car that's extremely high compression, especially an old one, and you want to get the full horsepower, you use the premium gas, right? Most cars will run perfectly fine on regular gasoline, but fancy ones like take a Mustang EcoBoost with the 4-cylinder turbo engine, okay, it puts out 300-something horsepower with premium, but if you put regular gas in, it puts out 200-something horsepower. You lose some of the power, but it runs perfectly fine. The computers can do it. But one person pointed out, hey, don't ever buy the mid-grade, even if you want mid-grade, because all it's doing is mixing 1/3 premium and 2/3 regular. If you figure out how much it costs, you're better to put 1/3 of a tank premium and then put 2/3 regular, and you'll pay less because the price differential, the mid-grade, it's usually halfway between, right? So that's 50-50, but you're not getting 50% regular and 50% premium. You're getting 2/3 regular and 1/3 premium. So if you really want to do it, mix it yourself, but there's really no reason to. It doesn't really serve any purpose. So, you know, if you wondered, well, why do they even have this mid-grade if they only sell 7%? Well, it's because they actually don't have it. It's just mixed at the pump, and they make money doing it because they charge more money for it. Well, Tesla battery supplier Panasonic is slashing 10,000 jobs and is taking an $895 million hit. Guess what? Well, they say they're restructuring themselves up because they were ramping up to build a bunch of batteries. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of Tesla's batteries come from Panasonic, then a bunch of them come from the Chinese too, cattle, right? They were all ramping up. Oh, we're going to make more and more batteries. We're going to make more. Oh, Nobody's buying the electric cars. They're going, ooh, what are we going to do? Well, we'll start firing people. There go 100,000 jobs. In the current fiscal year, Panasonic says that they're going to fire 10,000 people. Now, their fiscal year 2026 already started, even though this is 2025. Your fiscal year can go whatever months you want, right? That includes 5,000 employees in Japan and 5,000 in other countries. So things aren't going so hot for Panasonic. For example, Panasonic said they expect to pay an annual dividend of 48 yen. That's like 33 cents. What kind of a dividend is that, you know? What are you going to do? You can't even buy a can of Coke for that, right? So, all these companies have invested a whole bunch of stuff into electric batteries for vehicles. People aren't buying the vehicles. Companies that make them are going bankrupt. And guess what? The people who make the batteries for them, they're going to be deep doo-doo too, because they ramped all their stuff up to build a whole bunch of these things that people don't want to buy. Domino effect on people not buying battery electric cars. It takes a long time to build things up, right? And if you start building it up before you even know what's happening, this is what happens. Oh, people don't want those. Geez, but we built all these factories. Okay, let's fire 10,000 people. Well, here's another electric vehicle company I hope you didn't invest your money in. It's called Faraday Future. And in the first quarter of this year, 2025, Faraday Future only delivered 2 cars, and they lost $48 million doing so. So they lost $24 million for each car they sold. Well, I would say this isn't something that is going to last over time. So the company made $300 grand in revenue, but had a net loss of $48.2 million. They're supposed to do everything: a minivan, a crossover, an entry-level car that's going to be between $20,000 and $30,000. Well, forget all that. They delivered a whopping 2 cars. I can't say Faraday Future is going to have much of a future. A lot of electric car companies probably won't, but this is certainly one that'll probably go on a chopping block first. But of course, the company, they're always trying to, paint a bright future to get people to invest money in them, right? They said they expanded their client base because they officially entered the East Coast market by delivering one of their vehicles to somebody in New York. So much for Faraday Futures and the future of many of these electric vehicle companies. These people are still trying to sucker people into investing into these companies with promises here, promises there. But as I said, you want to buy an electric car? Wait, baby, wait. Who knows? Maybe 5, 10 years from now, there'll be a better infrastructure, better batteries, better vehicles. Who knows? Probably not. It'll probably take a lot longer than that. But don't go out and buy one soon. Well, China now says that their exports are surging as they're sending more shipments to Southeast Asian countries to offset the United States trade. Well, there's 2 things about this that I find rather amorphous. I don't believe it, right? One, they're sending shipments to Southeast Asia countries. Communist China is notorious for lying about everything they do. They're not giving a lot of economic data anymore. They cut a bunch of it off, so we can't tell if they're having a recession or not. They're hiding the data. But they're sending it to these other countries. We got a record. We're selling out. This is like the guy who's trying to sell a junky house. Oh, I got lots of people signing up to buy this house. Hurry up before somebody else buys it, right? The thing's been on the market for 2 years. The roof's falling in. The floors are rotten, right? They're going to lie just to sell you something. So I don't know if they're even telling the truth about that. Because what are all these countries? All of a sudden, they're going to start buying this Chinese crap, and they didn't before. Kind of makes you wonder if it's even true. But let's say it is true. What I think is probably really happening is maybe they are sending them to the other countries, right? Then they'll probably rebrand them and send them to the United States. Go to the Netherlands. Now it's a Dutch thing. Okay, ship it to the United States. It's coming from Holland. We don't have 150% tariff on stuff from Holland, right? There's certainly going to be people trying to skirt the thing by doing that. There's always ways to skirt things. So they'll send it one place, and then they send it over. Who knows what's in the container, what they say is in the container. Nobody checks the containers hardly at all. It's something like what? Less than 3% of the containers are even really seriously looked at in LA when they bring them in. So it looks to me like it's probably another way to skirt the tariffs, right? And then they'll just say, oh, we're not worried in China. We sold all our crap to these other countries instead, right? Nobody follows this stuff up. What goes over here, what goes over there. It may all end up in the United States. Who knows, I wouldn't believe what they say in the first place. So if it is true, it's probably in an effort to skirt the tariff by putting it in one country and then sending it to another. Just like the people that do sleazy things on the internet. They'll have it go from here to there to here to there, and then it ends up it's coming from Slovenia or someplace, right? My friend is an internet geek, and he does that stuff all the time. He says, I can do whatever I want, because I know this guy in Slovenia, and we can run it through all these different places, and eventually it'll come from him where he can get anything in Slovenia and then send it over to us. Well, if you think stealing car parts isn't profitable, there is a Ford worker who is now accused of walking out with millions of dollars in hoods and bumpers for years. Hoods, bumpers, and lights are resold through Detroit shops and eBay listing. Of course, eBay, when I was in Houston, it was funny. There was a guy who worked for the post office. And if you remember back in the day, you could get DVDs to watch movies in the mail, and then you send it back, they send you a new one. Well, 7 or 8 times, I never got the DVDs, right? And I told the company, I never got these, and they sent another one. But I never got them. I wondered what happened to him. Well, it turns out that a guy in a Houston post office was stealing them, and he did the same thing. He was reselling them on eBay, and he got caught because he kept doing it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Now, look, if you're going to steal something, you can't keep doing the same thing over years and years and years. Guess what? You're going to get caught, right? And this guy got caught. The guy started stealing stuff 2 years ago from various plants in southeast Michigan. Well, this guy, he sold an awful lot of bumpers and hoods and lights and stuff, but he did get caught. You do a massive thing like that, you're just asking to be caught. 2 years of stealing them and selling them on eBay. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.